welcome to your award-winning The Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week through news and headlines ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Daniel, and your other host this week comes from Lazy Gaming Guys. It is Julian. Welcome back, Julian.
Hello, everybody. I'm back again.
Scott had tried to make a move to take over the show 2 episodes ago, and I'm like, you're pulling a Julian. Julian kind of beat you to it. I don't know if this is an effort between the two of you, but I just wanted to let you know that he did attempt that.
I don't know what Scott's plans are. I know what my plans are. It's to take over the show, but let you keep doing the work, and then I rake all the benefits in.
That's right.
and then if something happens where the show gets in trouble, I can just be like, oh, I'm just an executive producer. I just put in the funding, but it's like I can wipe my hands of it at any time.
That's right. Like, I don't know what's going on over there. I've got my name attached. I've got these other things I'm working on. Yeah, you've got it all planned out.
See, I'm smart.
But if this is your very first episode of the show, the way we format it is we go through this week's news, and then we end it with the Brokehead Block, which is what Julie and I have been up to since you last heard us. So let's jump right in and explore sector number 535. So this first one really pissed off a lot of artists, as DeviantArt recently offered an AI-generated service that users can use, and they called it Dream Up. After just 1 day in the open, DeviantArt was forced to make changes to it after artists protested at the ease of which this AI art system could go in and scrape their own works without accreditation, without any credit, or even active consent. So by default, all of the artwork that you submitted as an artist to DA was made available to this program to learn from. So if you have a unique art style, by default, this program can use that to generate other artwork. Users had to manually opt out of every single image before DeviantArt quickly reverted the settings. So this was a big hiccup for the website, but I want to know what your thoughts are personally on AI-generated art, and if you do see it as a form of artwork.
Oh, we've had a nice discussion about this on Lazy Gaming Guys once. I don't know if we did it on stream or off. I can't remember. But I've been all over the place with it because I don't know what. Because pretty much I've seen some people who make AI, who use AI art to essentially I have an idea. It helps propel this idea into something that I can actually, and then I use my own artistic abilities to make something better and not use these assets that I got. It's just an idea of, it's like, say they typed in girl in park, right? Mm-hmm. And so they used the AI generated art to be like, oh, okay, so this is the different kinds of poses that you can get in girl in park. Or one person I saw on YouTube where they said, okay, I'm going to make Pokemon out of this AI thing. And it's like, it's like fucking, I'm just going to type in electric dog Pokemon. And it kind of just fucking comes up with all these different things. And he actually drew something that actually made sense. And it wasn't fucking stupid looking, because it wasn't like Pikachu with a dog body. But the people who monetize the actual art that the AI things make, no, because you are not, it's not even technically, you are, in my opinion, you are stealing. It's theft. Because it's not, it's an amalgamation of different artists, but it's taking an amalgamation of different artists, and now it's like, oh goody, all the work that those artists put into, now you're making money off it. And then the fact of it is, a lot of people's AI art looks like, it's like weird. Mm-hmm. At first it comes out like, suddenly it's like, oh, it has like this picture, but then suddenly like there's a chick with 2 arms.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, it's like, no, you just can't edit that out. You put the prompt in again and then hope you get something, and then they just pick out the best thing out of the bunch. It's like, if you're making money off of just picking out the AI art and posting it out of, you're stealing, in my opinion. It's theft. The plain and simple.
Right. And maybe you and someone's going to listen to this a decade from now and we're going to look like dinosaurs. Who knows? Maybe this does take off and it's seen as an art form. But as it currently stands, I'm with you, man. I think that while some argue that AI generated art is another tool, much like a tablet would be to an artist or a pencil would be to an artist. I think that extension is a bit too far when it comes to AI generated artwork. And I know people said that with digital artwork. I get that, like choosing a color. And then, like they said, a lot of traditional artists said, no, you got to mix your own paints and get the color you want. I totally understand the argument. But when it comes to AI generated art, I mean, it's doing most of the work for you. You're typing in the idea and then the AI is the artist. You're no longer the artist, in my opinion. It is now formulating that idea and putting it out on what would be paper, or in this case, as an image. So I don't see it as artwork. I don't know why DeviantArt is, obviously it was a money deal with this particular company, but I don't think that they should include that in their program because I don't see it as an extension of any artwork. It reeks of NFT art. You know what I mean? Like it seems like something that's going to be trendy now and something that's simply used so that they can try to sell it as an NFT on Twitter or something. And that's my other problem with it. It just seems kind of scammy.
You know, I didn't actually think about the fact that this seems NFT like it really does, because, well, you know, DeviantArt has been fighting to keep relevancy outside of people in their weird fetish shit for a while, because because half of DeviantArt is filled with like people's weird fetish junk, and it's like, oh, it's like because it's tasteful, yeah, oh goody, but there's still boobs up there. So, still boobs on the screen just because you drew a woman who's, it's not even like plus size at this point. That's like a clearly obese person that you have like sitting in a chair eating food covered in frost with her face covered in frosting. That's a fetish, man. People are. It reminds me of a story when Jacques showed me this picture of something he saw, and he's like, "Oh, it's funny. Look at them gorging themselves." I'm like, "Jacques, this is a fetish." He's like, "What?" It's like, you naive summer child. You bathe swaddled in the blanket of ignorance. I told him that, and then he told me that I ruined that picture for him forever, which he thought was funny, and it was a good moment. But this whole thing is DeviantArt trying to pretty much stay relevant, and now it's like, oh goody, we can make AI art, and people can post their AI art all over DeviantArt. DeviantArt can stay alive, and maybe, you know, people will actually use it. And it's like, people pretty much use it just to have a record of whatever they make on the internet outside of their own computer, and something to link people to, so they don't have to like post it straight to Facebook, because, you know, only reason DeviantArt actually got some relevancy back was when Tumblr fell apart.
Yeah, and I remember DeviantArt was one of the only places that you could go to. It was like social media for artwork. This was before Twitter was massive, and I have a DeviantArt, and I had a couple of art pieces up there that I put up. But now professional artists use a site called ArtStation. That's where you see people like Zack Snyder's concept artists put up a bunch of pictures of Doomsday and things like that. That's where they go to these industry professionals. They don't go to DeviantArt. People like me who just doodled every now and again and threw something up, DeviantArt was great. But now with social media, you can, I think it's, yeah, sure, put it up on DeviantArt, but if it goes viral online, on Twitter or on Instagram, I think that is more effective if you're trying to grow your name as an artist. So I do agree with you. I think DeviantArt does have to do something, maybe professionalize itself a little bit more. That might be to try to compete with ArtStation. I don't know what the right move is. But the other problem with AI art too is, I don't know if you saw the contest that Rebel Moon director Zack Snyder was having, but he said, all right, come up with your own alien or character design, submit it, and then I think the winner got to have their alien be in the film. And out of the 10 you can go in and vote, and a bunch of the finalists were up there at 25 and you voted down to 10 or something. A good handful of them were AI generated artwork, and people had a fit on Twitter like, this shouldn't count. So they had to go back in there, remove the pieces that were AI generated, and then from there do a new string of artists. And it creates a problem, man, because you have to separate that. You have to create that separation between AI generated art and quote unquote more traditional.
Pretty much, as long as I don't see some of the people who I knew were NFT bros don't suddenly jump into the AI art, that's when I know the scam is beginning. Absolutely.
Well, we are getting some awesome artwork from Studio Ghibli pretty soon, as last week they teased a collaboration with Disney's Lucas Films. So while the details behind this team up have yet to be revealed, many fans are debating whether this will be a part of the second season of Star Wars Visions. Studio Ghibli used its official Twitter account to not only show off a tiny baby Yoda figurine, but also show legendary director Hayao Miyazaki, best known for Spirited Away, sitting in the background. So he is involved in some way with this Lucas Films project.
Oh, wonderful! The man who said anime was a mistake and is notorious for being kind of a dick.
Are you talking about Miyazaki?
Yes, Miyazaki.
That's new to me.
Miyazaki has been kind of a dick because it's like here in the West, we bolstered Miyazaki like way higher than the Japanese ever did. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, it's so great! It's so wonderful!" It's like, yeah, and then it's like, "Oh no, this guy shouldn't have a platform. He's kind of a dick."
This is all news to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like there's like if you look it up, it's like he like berates his own son and stuff for being like, if it's because like trying to do these animation things. It's like the story's not that great. The story's not great. It's poop, and I'm generalizing it, but it's like it's like him and it's like Hayao Miyazaki and his son have no goodwill, to have like kind of ill will towards each other. Well, in the within the space everybody sees it. Studio Ghibli being a part of this Lucasfilms thing, it's like, one, I've yet to see the Star Wars Vision show. Everybody I know who likes Star Wars keeps telling me to look at it. I haven't gotten around to it because I've been busy with going through every single anime I own, every anime and movie I own, because I wanted to. And then people are like, "Oh, it's going to be Star Wars Vision because it's Baby Yoda figurine." It's like, no. I don't. Of course they use a Baby Yoda figurine because the Japanese love that shit. Apparently the Japanese are we're gaga about Baby Yoda, but that's how they roll. There's just tons of merchandise for that character, and they just eat it up because it's like, look how cute it is. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. Maybe they'll because last time Lucasfilms teamed up with an animation studio, we got that Clone Wars cartoon that was done by the dude who does Dexter's Laboratory and stuff, and that was good.
You're talking about the one by the same animator as Samurai Jack, or the newer one?
I'm not gonna butcher his name on right now because I can't. Gendy Tartakovsky. Tartakovsky. I think if I can, I'm butchering it. I know I am, but yeah, I've always loved his work, and that was one of my favorite thing. That was one of my favorite Star Wars things to watch, and maybe this will end up like a more Japanese take on something Star Wars related, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I haven't watched Star Wars Visions either. I was just talking to Scott about it, and he said that it's very hit or miss. It's very much like one of those he said it's like the Matrix anime that they did, Animatrix, where some of those stories were good, some were not. And he said the same thing about Star Wars Visions of like, I saw it once and that was great, but the whole thing isn't amazing. And you kind of expect that out of compilation projects like this. And Gotham Knights I love a lot, but Gotham Knights I know is similar to it, where it's very different, where one of those stories might be not to your liking, which isn't a bad thing.
Have you seen Love, what was it? Love, Death, and Robots or something on Netflix? Something like that.
I've heard of it. Is that what that is?
I forgot. It's another one of those compilation things. And these compilations always are, like you said, it's always hit and miss. There's some stuff you like, there's some stuff you don't like. Like that Love something in Robots. Jock showed me something, and then he's like, I like this one. I'm like, I don't like it. and then he's like, this one's bad. I'm like, I like this one. I've seen two segments from something from Gotham Knights. I can't remember what it was, but I know I've seen two things, but because it's been a minute, and I was also slightly distracted from watching children, so I couldn't focus on it too much. I'm gonna have to look at it again. But I do remember the Animatrix being fucking some weird ass shit. When I looked at it back when I was younger, I'm like, this is weird. And so hopefully this will be entertaining. And it'll be something Ghibli related, and maybe an anime or maybe it's small story segment retellings in Studio Ghibli style, which would be different because their stuff is kind of it depends on which style they're going with. They're going to go with their softer animations or something more out there, because they do have some things that are visually crazy, and then there's some things where it's there's the same old anime style that they've done with all the other movies. It'll be interesting to watch.
We'll get more information as we continue on here, and if it does look interesting for sure, we will cover it on the show. A little more from Disney. This one actually ended up getting canceled, as in an interview with Vanity Fair, Margot Robbie confirmed that her Pirates of the Caribbean sequel is no longer happening. She said, quote, "We had an idea and we were developing it for a while, ages ago, to have more of a female-led, not totally female-led, but just a different kind of story, which we thought would have been really cool, but I guess they don't want to do it," end quote. So Christina Hodson, who wrote Birds of Prey and Paramount's Bumblebee, was reportedly lined up to pen the script. This female-driven Pirates of the Caribbean story was intended to extend the franchise and not reboot it. So I was worried about this project when I first heard about it, when Christina was attached to it, because Birds of Prey was awful. And I did not want to get Pirates Birds of Prey from Disney. And it sounds like Disney doesn't want to do that either.
Oh my gosh, it's the backlash with red being added into Pirates and freaking on the ride, and them getting rid of the wench auction. It's the shit all over again. Huh? It's like, I feel like they're like, I don't know if it was direction of it, or who was working on it, or they don't feel like funneling money into it. All I know is that when it comes to the Pirates movies, as long as Jack Sparrow is not in it, I'm good. Because a lot of people say, it's like bring Johnny Depp back, it'll be great. It's like, no, I'm good. It's like, why we don't need Jack Sparrow. We don't have to have Jack Sparrow. We could just make up new pirates and make an interesting story that has nothing to do with because like we can't continue from that, because by the time in the last movie, it was like near the end of like piracy stuff. A lot of people were gonna start like, it was like freaking like closer to like the American Revolution time, and there were like a shit ton of pirates out around then, and it wasn't the same kind of level. It's like, and then what are they gonna do? Like, is it gonna be a mythical story? Is it gonna be just a bunch of chicks doing swashbuckling shit and being gaslight, gatekeeping, and girl bossing? I don't fucking know. This being canceled, I don't really feel anything about this. It's like, because the Pirates franchise has been kind of just it's like what are you gonna do with it? It's like y'all want to make something and then you stop, and then you try to come up with another idea and then you stop. It's like, I feel like there's like a bunch of people who have there's a bunch of random pirate movie ideas that are floating around in Disney right now, and they're just slashing them. They're letting them just sit there and write something and handing it to them, and they're like, sounds kind of stupid, and then they just keep workshopping that, or they just get rid of them and tell them, no, we're not going to work with this anymore.
They clearly want to do something with it. It is a franchise. It does have the potential to go ahead and bring in more money. I'm surprised that you're saying leave Johnny Depp out of it, because he is kind of the face of the franchise. But as you were saying, with all the controversy surrounding the actor, not only that, but even the movies, that the last couple Pirates didn't do amazing. They had lower budgets and they still didn't do great. I don't know if we've had enough of a break now where it's like, okay, maybe audiences are nostalgic enough about Pirates to where they'll come out to theaters to see a new one. But that's the problem, where if you don't bring back Johnny, you better have a hell of a powerhouse actor and interesting concept of a character to bring people onto that new franchise, because you're going to need a heavy hook without Johnny Depp, without Jack Sparrow.
Because the last pirate, I love this. The last pirate movie that was made before for Black Pearl was, well, unless you don't count Muppet Treasure Island, because no, some people don't, because like Muppet Treasure Island was the last good pirate movie before Black Pearl came out, and a lot of people don't think about it because like it's the Muppets. They can add their name to most things, and everyone's gonna love it anyway. Well, in my opinion. But like the last movie that I knew about that pirates in it was the movie with Gina Davis in it called Cutthroat Island. I don't know if you ever heard of that movie.
I heard of it. I never saw it.
Oh God, don't watch it. It's terrible. It's awful. I literally watch it just to show people what a bad pirate movie looks like. Literally, like they're sneaking onto a boat in that movie, and the water in the ocean, mind you, not moving, like placid pool, placid, fucking pool on a set, water just sitting there, not moving, don't even have like PAs like kicking and splashing off the side of the off to the side of the shot or something. At least make it look like there's water going. You know, Gina Davis keeps falling from random heights and living somehow, like even onto rocks. Everybody looks bored except for like one person, and then except for like the main villain who's played by the dude who was played by the dude who did Koopa and freaking the Mario Brothers movie.
Oh,
He's the only person that actually is enjoying. Dennis Hopper, there we go.
Yeah.
He's the only person who was enjoying his role in that entire thing. And that was like the last big movie Gina Davis was in, and now she's like retreated to this living off whatever money she gets from residuals and freaking being an archer. And so then like after that, 10 years later, almost 10 years later, they make freaking Pirates of the Caribbean, and it lives, and then Pirates essentially killed itself because the fourth movie was boring. The fifth movie had some interesting elements in it, but unfortunately, in my opinion, some of the Jack Sparrow didn't need to be in that movie. Literally, I feel like they only just brought Jack Sparrow in the movie because it's like, well, we're not going to have a Pirates movie without Johnny Depp. Then
sure.
Johnny Depp was back when he was just the worst. He didn't care he was like done playing that role at that point, and so when they asked him to come back, he was like drunk half the time, and then also like the other half of the time they're feeding his lines to him through a microphone because they're just trying to get the lol random wacky Jack stuff to fill into it. That's why he seems so out of place, because he's the only person that didn't have like a full script to work with. Have one more. We have these actors written for one more movie. Not everybody can be. Oh God, who plays Barbossa? Who's the name of the guy who plays Barbossa?
Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey Rush. Not everybody can be Jeffrey Rush and just jump in and be super serious about whatever role he's in. Like,
and amazing at it.
Yeah, he was good at Barbossa. He was the best.
He's my favorite character.
Maybe that's why I didn't like the fourth movie, because he wasn't in it.
I remember when they had that post-credits stinger in the second one, I was the only guy in the audience like, oh shit, fucking yes. And it's like, everyone had Johnny Depp, right? That's all they cared about. And I'm like, they for no reason, they didn't have to bring back Jeffrey Rush. Like, that character arc was finished. They brought him back though, and I was like, fuck yes. And he's a pretty big part of that fifth one. But unfortunately, after that fifth one, I'm like, okay, well, they got rid of the most interesting character to me.
Yeah, they killed him.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite characters in 3, especially when he was like, he's literally steering the boat through a whirlpool. Yeah. And then not only is he steering the boat, he's still fighting, and then also freaking officiating a marriage ceremony. That man was, while Jack's just blubbering around doing Jack things, and he's actually doing most of the work. It's like this. Okay, so Barbossa actually was the better pirate from the get-go.
He deserved the fucking Black Pearl, and I think he ended up with it.
Yeah, he ended up with the Black Pearl because they all just ditched Jack as usual. But then Jack's like, haha, I took the part of the map you need. Well,
I'll tell you, the last pirate movie I saw was Look at Me. Look at me. I am the captain now. Fucking Captain Phillips, man.
That's a modern pirate movie.
It's a pirate movie. Modern or not.
That'd be interesting if they actually made it up. If they Pirates of the Caribbean, they tried to make it a modern pirate movie. I wonder what would they do with that.
With fucking AKs and shit, yeah.
AKs and
wife beaters.
And people trying to rob rich people sailing in the middle of the Bahamas.
Yeah, that's what I remember when the trailer showed up. I love telling the story of Kelly was really into pirates, really into it. And that showed up, Captain Phillips and these pirates that are jumping the ship and stealing all the money. And I was like, these are real pirates. None of this parrot and wooden leg shit. These are fucking pirates right here. And she's like, no, they're not.
Well, you know, if you're gonna be pirates in the modern day age, it's just a bunch of dudes sitting in front of their computers freaking downloading torrents.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, those are pirates also. See, a hacking movie, that'd be another pirate movie they can do.
Oh, we can remake Hackers again.
Angelina Jolie's still around. Why not?
Yeah, but I don't think we could get away with that same scene again because she's kind of bony.
Well, one reason why Disney may not be moving forward with Pirates at the moment is they're in financial troubles, it sounds like. Very much like AT&T, Warner Brothers Discovery, a lot of these big companies, Amazon. That one I was happy about. Amazon is apparently laying off thousands of employees. And I was like, yeah, go down, please. I don't like Amazon. But Disney is not an exception to this. They are going through it. They are reportedly considering budget cuts and layoffs following a recent underperformance in its latest quarterly earnings. So this was broken through a memo from CEO Bob Chapek, who told employees on Friday that the company is prepared to make, quote, tough and uncomfortable decisions, end quote, in the months ahead. So this comes right on the cusp of the company's landmark 100th anniversary. And this is something that it does make sense when it's like, okay, their earnings weren't great, because I know their park handling, I'm pretty plugged into it here, living here in Florida, is not going well. People that are locals are not happy with Disney, with the Genie Pass. They don't like it. And then people that are, it's catering to people who have money, people who are traveling to Florida, people from Brazil. That's who they're catering to. And that's
they're
kind
catering to all the foreign guests,
Exactly.
and most who are willing to spend their entire life. So, and people from out of state who are willing to spend their entire like second, third mortgages on Disney. Well, people like me who are fans who've been going for years suddenly are who've been filtering money into there through other means of buying merchandise anyway, are being kept like left out in the freaking cold.
You're being priced out. Yeah.
Literally, it's like I was to consider going to Florida. It's like if it wasn't for the fact of knowing people who have annual passes and work there, I wouldn't be able to consider even trying to do it right now. It's like, because the only place that seems feasible is freaking Universal, and I considered even going to the freaking SeaWorld.
Yeah. Universal still has good prices. Same with SeaWorld, and the experiences for what you're paying for are comparable. It's like, hell yeah, for half off or whatever, I'll go to Universal and check out Harry Potter Land.
Yeah, because Disney needs to freaking stop. I already see what's going to happen. They're going to do this, and then when the when Universal opens Epic Universe, and then suddenly Disney's getting less money because a lot more people are going out are going back out into Orlando and looking at the rest of Orlando because they can't afford to go anywhere else, because they can't afford to get in Disney. They're actually, they're gonna finally get some stiff competition, and they're gonna have to stop all these crazy ticket prices, get back into some kind of other thing. But no, not in Bob Chapek's Disney, because a lot of people say, oh, this was building up back with Iger. It's like, yeah, but pretty much Iger just bought stuff, and he knew he at least knew how to market it better than freaking Bob Chapek did. Bob Chapek's just kind of riding off of Iger's coattails, and then not understanding how freaking most of the shit worked. I never thought I'd say this, but every time someone brings up Disney stuff, I'm like, I miss freaking. So it's like I'm starting to miss Eisner. It's like, you all kicked him out after all these risky decisions. It's like, yeah, but at least people were doing stuff and were enjoying it. It's like, it's like fucking all the stuff that Iger started doing near the end, and then some of the stuff that I forget the stupid name again, Bob Chapek's doing. It's like, no, so even where like I know people who are Disneyland fans who are having the same issues as people before. It's like, and Disneyland is more of a local park than fucking as much of a local park as Universal is for Orlando. People who live in Orlando, because like not a lot of people go to Disney. A lot of people are traveling out of their way to go to Disneyland. I go to Disney World first. It's like, don't shut out people who have money, because guess what? The people who do have money aren't going to go there all the time. They're not going to, because look at it. It's like it's not making as much money. And then most of the people, and then according to Scott, most of the people who go to that freaking park mostly buy merchandise and leave.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for them if they do go forward with layoffs, because the parks are as busy as ever. Even they have to cap them. And that's something I have to get used to as well, is reserving tickets ahead of time, passes, just to be able to make it into the park, because you can't just park hop like you could before. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
It's like people can just go on a whim to Universal and SeaWorld and Busch Gardens and hell, even Legoland. Like, you don't see that. It's like Universal's still thriving and not firing people, because because people are going. It's not as crazy busy, but it's still like they're getting some kind of revenue, and then people are still buying and people are buying their merchandise because they're finally starting to feed into people's nostalgia for the old 90s Universal, and it's making them all the money, and they're filtering that into the Epic Universe that they're making, because trust me, when the Super Mario World stuff comes out, all the nerds are going to flock to it, are going to flock to it more than the Star Wars nerds are, because Mario is an all ages thing, where Star Wars is all over the place when it comes to people stuff. And then a lot of people I know who saw the Star Wars stuff, it's like, this is mostly a giant marketing ploy to get me to buy stuff, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, that's something I noticed.
Let's not be real. I've seen the Nintendo world in Japan. It's like, that's a big marketing ploy too. It's like, buy a freaking toadstool cake that costs like $15. That's smaller than a freaking cupcake at a grocery store. Okay, but and buy our crazy watches that allow you to interact with everything in the park. It's like yada yada blah blah blah. So, but they're doing a better job. But they're doing a better job of marketing it, and everybody's excited about it. Literally watching D23, I'm like, okay, that's gonna be interesting. Of course, I already knew about the Tiana ride replacing Splash Mountain. It's like, yeah, I already knew about that. I already had my hype about that, but that was before you guys kind of fucked up. You make it difficult to be a fan of your theme park, Disney, because you just got to get this shit. You got to fix this shit. And then, how is it that they're even losing money when literally people are still fucking flocking to Disney Plus for more and more stuff, and then
and to their movies like Wakanda Forever just did amazing.
Wakanda Forever did amazing. I didn't see it. I'm not going to see it anytime soon. I'm going to wait till it pops up on Disney Plus, where I don't have to sit in the theater for it.
Oh, now you're going to wait till Disney Plus. See how this is how it happens. At first you weren't going to see it. Now it's, I'm going to see it eventually. Well, and eventually by next week it'll be, I went to go see it.
Well, no. I'm never actually gonna go see it because I have really no interest in going out and seeing it right now. I would be fine with seeing it in my house, because I could have saw the Jungle Cruise movie in theaters, but I didn't. I just stayed home and looked at it. Because it's like, I'm done with these superhero movies. I'm tired. I'm very tired. Movies come out with something a little more interesting. Why don't we remake Frankenstein and not that one I Frankenstein movie, please? And try and come up with something interesting. Universal, use some of that money to come up with something. Revive your movie monsters before Epic Universe comes out, so we can actually like them for that little area you're going to make for them in Epic Universe, because that'd be great.
So I'll ask you the same question, because you're talking about superhero fatigue. Why is Wakanda an exception for you, where we are willing to stream it, as opposed to just skipping it entirely, like a lot of superhero movies that are coming out today?
Because I'm not paying. Because technically, I'm not paying for my Disney Plus. My roommate is.
Well, right, but did you see Shang-Chi on Disney Plus?
Nope.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Like, that's free on Disney Plus, but yet you didn't see it. But Wakanda Forever, you do want to see on Disney Plus. Like, what's the difference?
Jock said it was good.
He also liked Thor Ragnarok, though.
We did like Thor Ragnarok, but I like Thor Ragnarok for the reasons of how I'm like, oh, this movie's bad, but I like I like that kind of bad type of movie. Jock said it was, it's like, it was interesting enough, and I'm like, maybe I'll see it when I'm not paying for it to actually look at it, when it's part of a service with everything else. So there's everything else. That's how I ended up looking at the last superhero movie I looked at, which fucking one was it that I was stuck at my parents' house and they wanted to watch it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna what am I gonna do? Leave?
Was it it's like Spider-Man Far From Cinema?
Oh no, Spider-Man Far From Cinema. No, I saw someone who bootlegged that. I watched it on Discord, someone bootlegging it, and I'm glad I did, because that movie's terrible.
Gotcha.
Terrible. I'm sorry, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire. You didn't deserve to have to help to try and save that movie. You were the best parts of that movie, and that's it.
Yeah, I heard they weren't handled well either, which is a shame. Like, apparently there's no interaction between Toby and Willem Dafoe, which is like, you have them there. Like, write a scene with them
in the movie. That's like not a word. It's like, are they gonna have a heart to heart? You had them both in the movie. It's like, he should be like, it's like he should have reservations about fighting him again. They both should. It's like, fucking. You think Norman would be actually trying to fight against the Goblin personality again, but nope. It's just he's super cool with it, even though he was revived from the dead. It's like it's a second chance, and then all of them had second chances, and of course they all fucked it up because we need conflict in this movie.
Sure.
Because the movie needed conflict over the other conflict of the giant hole in the sky. The giant hole in the sky. And then the movie ends once again with, oh no, Spider-Man has to be miserable. Which is, I'm done with that story aspect for Spider-Man. It's like, Spider-Man doesn't have to be miserable. Stop trying to force this onto me where he has to be a lonely, miserable man who literally sacrifices his social life to save people. It's like, no, fucking write Spider-Man new. It's been the same shit for 50 years. Stop making Peter Parker a sad sack.
Well, maybe I'll eventually check that movie out. I don't know. I have no interest in it either. But if you do watch Wakanda Forever, maybe next time you're on, you can talk a little bit about it just so I can have a little laugh at some of the stuff on there. But
Trust me, if it's more of the same crap that's come out of these last couple Marvel movies, I will definitely be shitting on it.
well, something that I will be going to theaters to watch is John Wick 4. After many delays from the pandemic, it will finally be releasing in March, and Lionsgate released its first trailer for the film last week.
You and I left a good life behind a long time ago, my friend.
Starz is currently working on The Continental, which is a prequel set decades before the original films, and Lionsgate has a ballerina feature film in development starring Ana de Armas, who was seen in John Wick 3. So they're going pretty big on John Wick. They're wanting to do spin-offs, prequels. John Wick 4 probably won't be the final John Wick film, but the teaser itself, a lot of promises. It seems like he is traveling to, it looked like Japan, so you've got a different look and feel to this particular movie. He's trying to fight for his freedom. That seems to be the plot to this one, and then we'll see where it takes him from there.
Oh, of course, Keanu Reeves is suddenly has it set in Japan. That man's kind of a weeb.
Super weeb, yeah.
It's like, are you seeing? It's like fucking. Was he in The Last Samurai? Was that him in The Last Samurai? Or was that somebody else?
Tom Cruise.
That's Tom Cruise. Yeah, the other one. He's the other one. He's the other one. It's like,
Yeah,
it's like I want to do a weeb thing.
Yeah.
It's like I want to. It's like I swear, a lot of these actors who were from the '80s, like a lot of these '80s starting actors, they're like suddenly they turn into weebs and want to do weeb shit. They want to have a weeb moment or like a super nerdy moment, like when Keanu Reeves is hired for freaking Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, that's true.
It's like, it's like these guys want to be in some nerdy ass shit, and I'm all for it. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see because like freaking. So we're gonna have a movie about people fighting in an Asian country. So we're gonna hire like every single Japanese stunt person to be a part of this movie, right? Because this is gonna be another stunt movie, and this is gonna be awesome. I love stunt movies. Like freaking, that's why I love about these John Wick movies. Like there's actual fighting in it,
right?
And it's choreographed fighting,
and
it looks like amazing. That's the one thing I miss about like a bunch of. That's what I miss kung fu. I miss kung fu or battle movies. Yeah, it's like Steven Seagal movies were terrible, but it's like it's hilarious to watch these this dough man fucking fight these super muscled guys and somehow win through these ridiculous means. I just love these like one person in a brawler movies. I don't know if there's a theme for, I don't know if there's some kind of genre for it, but I'm about that. I'm all about this. This is like one of those movies where they technically should be putting wrestlers in. It's like don't have them do a lot of talking, just have them go in and punch a bunch of people, and then punch a bunch of do a bunch of crazy punches, save their wife, daughter, and then the movie's over.
See, the movies like the John Wick movies are ones that audiences should be supporting as the action films of today, not the MCU. The MCU have unfortunately become the action films of today, CGI fests, right? But instead bringing it back to what you were saying, coordination, action, stunts, all of that stuff. Tom Cruise is big on it. And Top Gun Maverick, even though some of it, of course, was CGI, but you know how he is. He wants to do a lot of the stuff on his own. So that one ended up being a huge success. I hope we do get more of these kinds of movies and that it's not a dying art form where we can have stunt people running around and rehearsing all of this, getting hurt in the process. That's always a classic part of the film making process. And John Wick 4, I hope people do come out and support it because I do think we need more movies like that.
It's like how I was talking, like, I remember, I love how I bring this back to more theme park things. I was talking to Scott about how back in the day before I finally dragged him out to Universal, when I went out to Universal with me, back when we were like at the end of high school, I told him about how before they had that stupid Fear Factor show, which they literally just had sitting there rotting and taking up space, used to be the Wild Wild West stunt show. And and literally it's like, I told him about it, and like because stunt shows were always the best. Seeing like, even like if it was like, even like the random boat show they had out there in the middle of the water, it's like, I love stunt stuff. There's only one stunt show in theme parks that still exists, and it's all the way in California and Universal, and it's about Waterworld, that movie that nobody cared about for the longest time, and then suddenly it became, and now it's like everyone thinks it's a cult classic or something. I don't know. I haven't seen Waterworld in over a decade.
Yeah, same here. I don't remember good things.
All I remember is explosions, lots of water, men with gills, and dudes drinking their own piss. Because that was like the first couple scenes we were like, ew, he's drinking his own piss. That's gross. Yeah, but like they have a stunt show out there, and Universal rehired their stunt actors the moment they figured out their COVID restrictions. You at fucking Disney. What's taking you guys so long to hire to hire back the street performers, the people who act like old timey actors and freaking Hollywood studios. How was taking you so long to bring them back? It took you almost 2 years to bring back the Lion King show, people. What's the Festival of Lion King, people? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Freaking stunt shows, live actual stuff. If you're gonna make a CGI movie, just make it fully CGI and don't wait. And stop wasting everybody's time. It's not like they're not, that actual CGI movie, fully CGI movies aren't good. Freaking DreamWorks has been doing it for the longest time, and that's all Disney ever makes these days. Just make a CGI movie and have people just stand behind them voice acting. Half of these actors do voice acting now these days anyway because they can't get actual fucking work.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know you brought up Waterworld. That's what it's known for, is the drink pissing scene. They could have used those suits from Dune where you sweat, anything that comes out of you, like sweat, or I'm assuming piss, they didn't rightfully say it, but it then gets filtered and converted into drinking water. That's how they were able to travel throughout the desert. And we're getting more of that outside of parts 2 and 3, which we're getting big films of. Warner Brothers Discovery confirmed that Dune: The Sisterhood, a streaming exclusive prequel television series, is set to begin production very soon. So the synopsis is, quote, given extraordinary abilities by their mastery of the body and the mind, the Bene Gesserit expertly weave through the feudal politics and intrigue of the Imperium, pursuing plans of their own that will ultimately lead them to the enigmatic planet Arrakis, known to its inhabitants as Dune. So this series will be written by returning franchise writer John Spites, and that's a good thing because he's also writing parts 2 and 3 of Dune, so they're keeping it all within the world. And I liked Dune 1 enough to where I definitely am hyped for Dune 2 and 3. I really enjoyed the first film. I bought it. And if they do a spin-off TV series, which originally was set as an HBO Max exclusive, next spring it's becoming Warner Brothers Discovery when the streaming services merge. It will probably be on that service once it releases, I would assume, 2024 at this point.
You're talking about the recent Dune movie they came out with, right?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
What'd you think?
It's a lot better to keep up with than the original.
Yeah.
The original, it's like, I feel like I need an encyclopedia to watch this movie. Apparently they handed out encyclopedias before that, the pamphlets with information on before that people saw that movie.
That's right.
Like, wait, what? And then I still will always remember my favorite scene from the original with the little girl with the blue eyes going, he is the Krizak's Haderach, and then suddenly this lady just starts making this hissing noise like, it's like, what the fuck's happened? And then when I saw that, I'm like, am I high? Am I high watching this movie? I was like 21 when I first saw it. I was like, what's going on? What is happening? But then I saw the recent one. It's like, oh, this is interesting. And then it's like, oh, it left itself open for more. I see. We're going to continue this and explain more things about the crazy world of Dune, which apparently my friend says is a lot more. There's a lot more to it because the books are like thicker than the Bible, apparently.
Yeah, there's a ton of lore to Dune, and I understand that some of the book readers, just like any adaptation, they had some problems with the latest movie because it wasn't quite as the same as the books itself. But as you mentioned, it's a tough book to adapt, especially if you want to try to keep all of the lore in there. And I think they did a good job. And with the director, Denis Villeneuve, who is an amazing visual director, and he's done some of my favorite movies like Arrival. And it's one of those things that it's like, just for him alone, I was in on this movie. That's the reason Kelly and I went to go see Dune. We're not Dune readers. We didn't watch the original film, but we do follow this director. So thankfully we were nicely surprised where it is graspable. It is there for not the general audience necessarily, but for those who are looking into it's a great sci-fi film. At the end of the day, it's just an awesome, solid sci-fi film. Great setup for the sequel, and it's already coming up next year. Dune 2 should be out late next year, so we're almost there. It felt like a long wait since the last one. I remember when they announced part 2, I was like, man, 2023, that's forever away. Now we're almost there, and I'm really happy about it.
Giant sand planet with crazy worms and people and glowy eye priest women and people with tubes going in their noses and such a
You should like it. Giant worms, huh? Kind of phallic a little bit.
wow.
Or not big
shut up.
enough. Not big enough, Julian, really?
Oh no, we're not. We are not going to start on your podcast about this propaganda
That you're
you
a
and
size
Scott
queen?
are continuing that I am a size queen. I am not a size queen. I am not racist against Mexicans.
That's why you want to see Wakanda Forever, because they're the bad guys. The Aztecs are the bad guys.
Please tell me you're lying. Please tell me you're lying, and that is not what that is not.
Yes,
what
that
it
is that's the thing.
Oh my god, I already don't like this. Jacques did not mention any. Jacques just gave me a general statement of that movie. I'm gonna have to ask him to give me details now, because if I swear to God, if they make another, calm down. It's okay. Fine. Breathe deep. Don't let it get to you. You are strong. I can.
Last bit of news here is a sad one, and it's a very personal one for me. And I know for a lot of brokettes out there, especially because they're about our age, they grew up on this, and they know how much I enjoy Batman the Animated Series. They know that I have it tattooed on my arm. They know that I've been showing it to Leo. I've talked about it on the podcast here, that I get to share that with Leo. Legendary Batman, the Animated Series, voice actor, Batman himself, let's just say it that way, Batman himself, Kevin Conroy, has passed away at age 66 after a short battle with cancer. We have some reactions here from the industry. Mark Hamill, who of course played the Joker on the animated series, said in a statement, quote, "Kevin was perfection. He was one of my favorite people on the planet, and I loved him like a brother. He truly cared for the people around him. His decency shone through everything he did. Every time I saw him or spoke with him, my spirits were elevated." End quote. Writer Paul Dini, who co-created Harley Quinn, wrote a lot of the best episodes in the animated series, said, quote, "Kevin brought a little light with him everywhere, whether in the recording booth giving it his all, or feeding first responders during 9/11, or making sure every fan who ever waited for him had a moment with their Batman. A hero in every sense of the word. Irreplaceable, eternal." End quote. And Paul Dini is absolutely not lying there. I will share the story again of when Kelly and I got to meet him at MegaCon. It was about 8 years ago, and we were thrilled. I came up with a poster compilation that had a bunch of characters on there for him to sign. I was debating him sign my arm because at the time I didn't have Arkham Asylum, or I wanted him to sign my arm and then have his signature tattooed. I almost went for that. But instead, we got those signatures, and then I asked him if he could do a audio bumper for the podcast. And I asked his handler, and she said, he's not really supposed to. You can ask him, but he might say no. And he said, "Yeah, what do you need me to say?" And he recorded it right on my phone. And I've played it on the podcast before. I'll play it right now.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to The Reasons I'm Broke.
So there you have it. Kevin Conroy, a part of this podcast for a few years, ever since that recording. An incredibly nice guy. He also let us take a selfie with him. So what Paul Dini is saying there, every person get their moment with their Batman, that is him right there. That's the truth. This is not an actor that resented the fact that he is Batman, that he's cast forever as Batman, that he's going to keep getting roles and offers as Batman. This is someone who embraced it and embraced the fans in something that could easily tire someone lesser than, of like, I wanted more than to be Batman. No, this guy loved it. before I go into more of my thoughts and feelings on this, I want to get your thoughts on the passing of Kevin, and also any experience you might have had with his body of work, which includes the animated series, the Arkham games, Justice League, Injustice, all that stuff.
I do remember watching the animated series when him being in the Justice League cartoons. Like, my favorite portrayal of him was actually in the Injustice games, because it's like in the first one he's one Batman who's been jaded, who's kind of like jaded about not killing Clark, and then there's the one who still thinks he can save Clark, and it's like, and then it's like they're talking to themselves, and it's like reminded me of that one episode of Justice League where it's like they're in their alternate universe selves.
Yes,
and it was a good episode. And Injustice 2, we're following the alternate world Batman, who's like trying to rebuild everything, and like the whole thing with Brainiac goes down, and with Supergirl, and he's like, and he's actually like slowly opened himself, because it's not like he doesn't trust Supergirl, but he knows like she understands she's naive, and she shouldn't be anywhere near Clark, because even though they're working with each other, it's still like, I'm still a little sussy. And as soon as he betrayed him, it's like, haha, I already had plans for this, and I freaking, and it's like he saved the day, and along with Supergirl, it's like they fixed everything, and now they're gonna be, and now he's training her. He was training her with everybody and all that stuff, and he even freaking gave Harley a second chance, and she was literally like one of his like most trusted people, along with Catwoman in the second game. It was really good, really good. And then I never met Kevin Conroy before. I've seen his lines I saw one of his lines at MegaCon, and I was considering it, but I'm like, I don't have money to pay for this. And then but I did see like them walking him somewhere once, and he was waving, like he just waved everybody. The biggest thing about Kevin Conroy that I learned about, I didn't know about this till like 5 years ago. I did not know he was gay at all.
Yeah, he kept it pretty, I don't know if you want to call it closeted, but it's not something that he was used to being open about because of the industry that he worked in, unfortunately, at the time.
Yeah, because he's an old school actor, so pretty much it's like mind my French, he's an older queen gay. It's not exactly like one of those, not like old queens, but it's like one of those older ones where it's like he had to deal with more discrimination than I ever would have had to deal with, even being in the freaking South, even being here in the South. It's like he had to deal with it. He had to deal with it back in the 80s, where they treated you like you were the plague
because of AIDS, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's way too much, it's like I can understand that most likely him being an actor, and then he was in New York, and it was worse in New York. Like in New York, it was bad. One of the people I used to drink with told me about. He used to live in New York, and he told me about like the discrimination that they had to deal with the discrimination they did out there, because it was already bad enough that he was black. He was also gay in New York in the 80s, so it was like just even worse. I don't blame him for not really bringing it up, because it's like that's how it used to be, and then it's like until. Like now everybody's like, you can just bring it up if you're famous, it doesn't matter. If you're famous, it doesn't matter. It's like, because it's like even now I kind of keep the same thing where it's like, I'm not going to bring it up unless it's actually brought up in conversation, because it's like, it's none of your business mostly.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do, but like, it's like, he didn't come off as that way, and it didn't like affect the fact of him being Batman. He could still play he still played that character, and actually, it's like whenever like it became the Batman role, it's like he's Batman now,
right?
And then even when you heard him in other things, it's like it's like he's not Batman right now. Don't label him as Batman. If whatever you do, you hear him in, I can't remember what other things I've heard him in, but I have heard him in other things. You have to say he's not Batman unless you don't hear Batman. I hear it, but you got to make sure you don't think Batman when you see this character. Because he's been everybody's Batman for years. Like whenever there's a Batman in any kind of media, it's like, okay, did they hire Kevin Conroy? No.
Right. Yeah. That was always the thing that Kelly and I would say, like, why not? Did he have a cold or something? Like he couldn't speak? What was happening? Like naturally you'd want to get Kevin Conroy.
Most likely it's one of those voice acting guild type things.
Yeah.
where some people who aren't part of it don't really get a chance to be in it unless they're gonna pay the buku amounts of money and accept it, and then hope that the freaking rest of the guild doesn't sit there and bitch, because for the longest time, like back in the early 2000s and even like till a couple of years ago, like you would hear the same voice actors in a lot of stuff in anime dubbings or in video games and stuff, because a lot of them would be, or even like cartoon shows, you hear the same thing, because it's like, yeah, they're part of this guild of the New York dubbers or the California dubbers or the people who dub in Texas or in Canada and shit. But but it's like, okay, we have Batman in this. Okay, do they have the money to hire? They're going to hire Kevin Conroy. It's like, I remember watching Justice League: A Tale of Two Worlds. Was it called? It was one of those. It was one of the DC animated movies that they came out with, like in the late 2020s, where they were just pumping them out, and it was like one of those Elseworld ones where
with Ultraman, right? Or not Ultraman, with the alternate universe Owlman.
Yeah, Owlman. Ultraman was the Superman equivalent, right. where it was oh my god, what's this actor's name? Played Hades and fucking Disney shit. It played Hades in the Disney movies, in the Hercules Disney movies. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head right now, and it's driving me nuts. But he was Owlman in that, and it was like, okay, this Batman's okay, but he's not Kevin Conroy. I don't know. Actually, was Kevin Conroy in that one? No, he wasn't.
He wasn't in that. No, you're right. He wasn't in a lot of those. When he was, for example, when Justice League Doom was coming out, it was like, oh, please let it be Kevin. It was always Kelly and I hoping it was always Kevin Conroy as Batman, because that is Batman for us. That's the only other actor that I'm like, okay, that was a pretty decent Batman, was Peter Weller in The Dark Knight Returns. And I could have heard Kevin Conroy as well pull off an amazing The Dark Knight Returns, but Weller did an incredible job, made it his own, didn't sound anything like Kevin Conroy, and that might have been the success to it, where he kind of carved his own path to an old Batman, and it was incredible. It's as you were saying, you expect to hear Batman when you see Batman on the screen, and when he doesn't sound like Batman, when he doesn't sound like Kevin Conroy, for a fan like me, it's not Batman.
Yeah. Now, there was one person who voice acted Batman in something which I actually did like, and it was in fucking Young Justice. That was a good Batman. Nowhere near Kevin Conroy, but he was good enough to where it's like, okay, it's not too dark.
It'll do.
Too gritty. It'll do. He'll do. he has the same chops, where he has the chops to do it. So it's like, okay, maybe Kevin gave him some point. He got the pointers from watching Kevin or something, because it's like, it's pretty close.
Well, I'm glad you had touched up on his background in growing up, as you said, in the 70s or in the 80s, and without being openly in the gay community. DC Comics made it free. The DC Pride 2022 comic that came out, it is now available for free through the DC Universe Infinite app, or you can pull it up right on the website on DC Infinite. You don't have to have the app, but if you type in DC Pride 2022 on DC's website, it'll pop up. It'll let you read it for free in honor of Kevin Conroy, because he did write, I think it's his comic debut, did write a short story in here called Finding Batman. I want to say it was on page 96 or 94. And 94, so you can flip right through to 94 if you want to just read his. And it's about how he said Finding Batman, when he was first cast, and he's told this story before, I think he said he thought it was going to be for like a Macbeth type character. He didn't know that it was for Batman. And when he arrived and he found out it was for Batman, he did not know a lot about the character. So they have to tell him that, this is his background. His parents were murdered, and he is living two lives, one as a playboy billionaire and the other one as Batman fighting crime. And when they asked him to do his audition, he was able to relate to that as someone who was in the closet in a way, in many ways. He couldn't be as open as you can in 2022. And so he related to the dual personalities, the two identities, the tragedy of losing a parent with the story of his father. And all of that is in the comic. And I thought that was a beautiful way of him connecting the gay community to his portrayal of Batman and Bruce. And you as well got to read the comic, right, Julian?
Oh, I did. And I was like, man, I was kind of like, I was moved. I didn't cry or anything, but I was like emotional. I was like, I got like I had an emotional feeling that I haven't gotten from reading a comic book in a long time.
Yeah.
It was really good, and knowing that, whew, feeling emotions again. It was a really good. It was a really good story. It was a really good story to read, and I was actually like reading it while like I was reading it like in between doing raids in Final Fantasy, and then some of the people I was talking to, it's like, where'd your energy go? You were like high energy like 10 minutes ago, and now suddenly you're just like kind of like, and then you're like, I showed them the thing, and then suddenly it's like we just started talking about Batman stuff.
Yeah.
Talking about Batman stuff after that, and for like 10 minutes, and then we're like, we're supposed to be doing raid. It's like, oh yeah.
Well, please read it if you haven't yet. Again, it's under DC Pride 2022 on DC's website, and it does give you some more background on Kevin's life and some of the personal struggles that he went through, not just being a gay member of the acting community during a time where you would get blacklisted from TV networks for that, but some of his struggles that involved his family. Kevin Smith did an interview in 2012 with Kevin Conroy, and he talked about how Kevin fought alcoholism, something that I relate to. And I'm still hoping that Kevin Smith puts that interview back up because he deleted it. You can't find that interview anymore anywhere. So I asked Kevin on Twitter, I'm like, hey, can you put that up again? Because it's Batman, man. He just passed. Like, why would you ever delete that?
Why did he delete it in the first place?
Yeah, like this should be internet archives. All these interviews with these voice actors should be archived somewhere so that people can go back and learn about their personal lives. So there's a lot in there that I related to, and that was excellent in there. I will say that this celebrity death for me, it's the one that's hit me the hardest, followed by Alan Rickman would be the second one. That was another one that hit me hard, but this one was a tough one, man. I was on Twitter and people were saying, oh, this just broke. Is it another one of those Twitter verified fake posts? Is it really dead? And then finally one of the other Justice League members confirmed it. I believe it's the voice of Wonder Woman. She confirmed that he passed, and then someone else confirmed it. And I saw Paul Dini put up a GIF of just the Batman from the animated series, nothing else. And that's when I'm like, oh no, like this was like an hour or so after the news broke. And I'm like, it's confirmed, man.
Yeah,
and
Wonder Woman's voice actress, Grey Delisle?
Susan Eisenberg or something.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember who. Because I remember seeing that post. I'm like, it's like, oh wait, someone else who was part of.
Yeah,
who is the woman who plays Wonder Woman, which is the same thing. It's like you hear Wonder Woman, you think the same exact person.
Exactly.
Just said he's gone. It's like, this is real.
Exactly.
And then I saw the post from Mark Hamill, and I'm like, okay, this is for real. He is dead.
Yeah, and then I started seeing the tribute posts, the beautiful tribute posts that people are making, and it's still cementing the fact. Like, I know it's real, and I know it happened, and I went on Kevin Conroy's Twitter, and on his latest post, which was on Halloween, he said the bats are up at Wayne Manor, and he put up a selfie with some rubber bats that he put up at his home, and people are like, at the time of that news breaking, people are like, Kevin, please tweet something. Make sure that, I don't want this to be real. Like, they were begging him. And then there's a bunch of tribute posts. And for me personally, it hit me extra hard because it's Batman the Animated Series is the reason why I'm a DC fan today. It's the reason why I enjoy a bunch of this. It's the reason why I fight for the Snyderverse still, because I'm a DC guy, because I'm a Batman guy. And it's because of that cartoon. And if it had been a different voice actor, maybe not the right one, someone that didn't bring Batman throughout the years to continue being Batman into my adulthood, I don't know if I would have the same passion for DC or Batman today. I'm not too sure, but Kevin was the right guy. He continued it for years into the Arkham games. That's when I was an adult, and continued into modern movies, multiverses recently. He's Batman in that.
Oh man, I didn't know he was Batman in that too.
Yeah, he has a ton of interaction with many characters like Arya Stark, Jake the dog, and you can find all of his lines on YouTube as a compilation. He asks Shaggy, "Do you bleed?" like from BBS, and I'm like, yes, he said the line, and it's amazing. So this is a character. This is a guy that, when he passed, a big part of my childhood died as well. A big part of it, because the animated series was huge for me, and it's still big for me. And I had a huge sense of loss with that, and a depression definitely set in. But then I started to remember and realize that, I have a lot to be grateful for, and the fact that I have years of content of his Batman to enjoy, that he didn't just do a cartoon and leave it at that, that I can share this with Leo, and I am sharing this with Leo. We were watching the Man-Bat episode yesterday together.
The Man-Bat episode.
and it's just like, I can continue to enjoy this and pass it on to my son and enjoy it in a whole different way, because now another generation can enjoy some of these older cartoons. He is my generation's Batman. I think I can safely say that for a lot of us. He is our generation's Batman. So when he goes, that's it for Batman for me. Not like I can't enjoy anything Batman or anything, but whenever I see another animated film or see him in a video game, I'm not going to see Batman anymore. I'm not going to hear him, so it's not going to be Batman. It's not going to be the same. I don't think I'll ever get used to another voice actor as Batman. It's always going to go right back to Kevin Conroy. He is the best Batman. He is Batman for me. And this one hurt a lot, man. It still hurts.
Pretty much that's what happens. That's what happens when you pull off it's not just because he was Batman for this long. It's because he essentially, the reason why people are willing to pay for him to come back and go around like even the voice acting things like I brought up. It's because like he does the best at it.
Mm.
It wasn't like it's because he's played it for a long time. No, he's just the best at it.
Yes.
It's like how back in 2009, the voice actor for Mickey died, and ever since then, it's like it's hard to not hear anybody else do. Whenever the new person does it, it's different. It's not the same. It's never going to be the same because it's like the same person's been doing it for years. It's like there's always going to be someone who also can play a voice role, but it's like when you heard this role for as long as you have through most of for most of like the time, and you can tell like that this role was that they did the best at it. You're not going to be able just to let it go. It is going to be different pretty much from that. Even now with him gone, it's like anytime they do anything animated with Batman in it, or anything voice with Batman in it, it's going to be like, okay, you have a big role to fill. You have some big shoes to fill, but the thing is, it's like, it's going to be difficult not to judge them off of Kevin Conroy's appearance. It's because it's something something I've known since I was young, before I could fucking write. I've known, it's like I knew about Batman. It's not like with the actors who freaking are who most of the time are revolving doors every 5 or so years. It's like, because with voices, it's like we don't have to get like all these extra people come out. It's like you can just have them sit down, do the thing, and they're gonna do it. And then also to see someone who's done this voice acting thing for so long and not like break down was amazing, because I've seen a lot of people who have played roles where it's like, I'm sick and tired of doing this,
right?
And acting and even in voice acting, like as a person who likes Power Rangers, a lot of the people who played those things hate it completely. He is essentially like, people hear Tara Strong and stuff, and they will never not hear Tara Strong as something. Kevin Conroy was the same way. Is the same way. It's like you'll never not hear this person as that character because he was the best at it. Once someone perfects that role, you're gonna have a hard time replacing that. It's good. This is gonna be uphill. This is gonna be an uphill battle for not only everybody who's fans of Kevin Conroy, but for people who will be portraying Batman in the future and who currently portray anything Batman related. It's like, you have to understand that everybody is going to has been and will continue to compare you to Kevin Conroy.
Absolutely.
As Batman. It's like every time.
It's as you said, he is Batman. So you want to sound like Batman? There's your benchmark right there. Good luck. Yeah, it's a tough one, man. Again, I think it was a shocker because 66 in 2022 is young still. People expect to, maybe I'll live to my 70s or 80s, 90s, and that's kind of the expectation now. And for him to go at 66, I wasn't expecting him to go anytime soon. David Warner, we just lost earlier this year, the voice of Ra's al Ghul. It's like, okay, he was up there in years. It was kind of like, damn, that sucks, But he got a ton of mileage. He did a lot of great work. But Kevin Conroy, I'm like, we're gonna keep getting some Batman stuff for at least another decade.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was 66. 66. I thought he was younger than that.
Yeah, well, and he was he had an account on Cameo, so you can pay in to have him wish you a happy birthday. He did a lot of great stuff too, where people would be like, I just lost my grandma. Can I get some words from Batman? And he did some amazing stuff on there, wished people happy birthdays. And it's, again, that's why I'm like, we had years I felt like we still had years of Batman, and we don't. And that's the reality of it.
Well, it was nice to see. It was nice to see the collective of the DC fandom actually shut up for 5 minutes and stop arguing about arbitrary shit and actually pay this man his respects.
Yeah, that's something people were saying, that as much as the fandom is divided right now, that's one thing that most people can agree on, is this was the best Batman. Like, that's one thing that everyone united in paying respects. There were some bad apples out there, like the pedal maker fans taking this opportunity to slam on Snyder fans, and it's like, look, man, this isn't the time. This isn't the time.
There's always those people.
Yeah. So Kevin Conroy is survived by his husband, Vaughn C. Williams, his sister, Trisha Conroy, and his brother, Tom Conroy. And we will miss you, Batman. And thank you so much for your work, years of work that I get to enjoy forever. Let me know what you ended up enjoying on the other side, Brocat Core member. If you're watching anything in honor of Kevin Conroy, I've been seeing a lot of those. Which work is your favorite? Which performance? Which movie? Apocalypse War, I think is what it was called. Batman, Superman, Apocalypse, with Supergirl arriving on the Earth and then Batman taking on Darkseid. Kevin Conroy's performance in that was incredible. It's just a lot of good stuff. And that leads us to the final question I have here, is for Julian and I to rank our top 3 best Batmen of all time, and that includes animated and live action combined. So I think, at least for me, we know for me, it's number 1 is going to be Kevin Conroy. Is that your pick too? Or do you have a different number 1 for Batman?
No, it's number 1. Number 2.
1.
My number 2 is oh my gosh, I cannot believe I forgot this dude's name. I knew it for the longest time. The one who did the Batman, the Brave and the Bold.
Yes.
I like that voice actor. I liked him.
I don't know why I want to say it is Diedrich Bader. I didn't want to say the wrong name.
It's Diedrich Bader. There it is. Yeah, I like that one. That one was a good one, because that show was the perfect mix of action and hilarity that you could ever get out of a Batman series. And that was a good one. And then my third one is, like I said, the one who did the one in because the live action ones, for me, it's all hit or miss. Sure. I have my positive points, I have my negative points, but none of them are like awful. It's just meh. So most of the time, most of my knowledge comes from mostly voice acting, the voice people who do the voice acting. But yeah, those 3 are the best ones.
Who's your number 3rd pick again?
My third pick is the one from, like I said, from Young Justice.
Young Justice, got it.
He was one of the ones where it didn't feel like he was trying to emulate. He was trying to do this. He was trying to be a Conroy, but kind of failing at it.
Right.
It's like, it's brooding. It's brooding, and it's dark enough to show it's Batman, but it's not overly so. It's not some overly gritty performance like you hear some people do, like in parodies and shit.
Yeah, it looks like it's Bruce Greenwood voices him in Young Justice.
Alrighty.
Awesome. Good picks for my number 1. Again, Kevin Conroy. Number 2 is Ben Affleck for his performances as Batman. And then my number 3, I had it all set out already, but Diedrich Bader was a good one. But I'll stick with my original pick. I'll stick with my original pick and follow that up with Christian Bale. Although Val Kilmer was another good performance, but those are my picks. Kevin Conroy, number 1. Number 2, Ben Affleck. And number 3 is Christian Bale for his Bruce Wayne in particular. Not necessarily as Batman, but I really like his Bruce Wayne.
Batman, damn it, I forgot. You just said the name and I instantly forgot it already. Val Kilmer. It's like, he is the prettiest Batman. Like, I'm not saying that like he's like, I find him attractive. No, he was just very soft in the face. He was very soft.
I gotcha.
It's like it's like I remember seeing like what someone I watched would would take a quote from that movie where he said it just raises too many questions a lot. And
Right.
and like I forgot. Wait, that's all right. He's Batman in that. Even though one of the other lines from that movie I'll never forget. Oh no, it's boiling acid. It's like oh right. These are the Schumacher. It's like, oh right, that's
Yep.
that's one of the Schumacher movies, which are once again, it's one of my this is bad, but I like it though. Out of the fact of that everyone in this world takes this terribleness seriously.
Well, this probably won't be the last time. I'm probably going to try to get a reaction out of Palpa Kelly when she is next on. We'll see how we're feeling at that point, but not to end it on a downer. Of course, it's a celebration of the man's life, and a lot of credit to his performances as Batman and to all the Batmen out there. But that does wrap up our news portion of the show. Let's head into the still more personal side of the podcast, which is the Broke Block, what Julian and I have been up to, what we've been playing, what's been making us broke since you last heard us. So let's kick it off with you, Julian. Please give us an update on what's been going on your end, including what's coming up on your channel.
well, currently I have been trying to, because I streamed it I did stream it last week. I've been trying to catch everything in Pokemon Legends Arceus. It is a chore because right now I'm trying to catch the Gen 4 Pokemon called Craniados, which is a fossil Pokemon. Which, how am I going to catch a fossil Pokemon in a game where they can't revive those things? It's in this stupid mechanic called time distortions, and time distortions are random as shit. You could be standing in an area for hours, and literally a time distortion will never pop up. And I have to be, and then a time distortion, when it does, it's a random chance of that one Pokemon appearing in it. And I did the research and I looked it up, and I've been looking in the same place over and over again trying to find it. And then this morning I did my last try, and I said, "Fuck this! I'll just wait till I'm just gonna leave this game unbeaten because I beat the most of the main story in the second part of this, and I'm halfway through the post story because I've already beaten Giratina and the person who summoned him, but unfortunately this stupid mechanic is pissing me off. So I'm done. I'm just gonna prepare myself for Scarlet and Violet coming out on Friday, and then I'm going to be streaming it on Saturday when it does.
Nice.
I'm streaming it on Saturday, and we'll be still having our Wednesday stream, but most likely it'll be something a little more low key, chill, and not anything that's going to involve nothing that's going to be big. But the stream on Saturday is going to be me focusing on. It's pretty much going to be. I'm going to be sitting there reading aloud anything that's not voice acted. Because I doubt there's anything's going to be voice acted. People said they had it. It's like it could be. It's like no, Pokemon's never going to be voice acted. Everybody get over it. And I'm going to pick the water duck. I'm still going to try my hardest not to call him Donald.
Yeah, it looks like Donald. Honestly,
I'll call him Donald. I'm gonna name him. I'm gonna find something else to name him, but I'm still gonna pick the Quaxley water duck thing, and I'm gonna go through that game, and it's gonna be fun and I will not have a single complaint until I try and play through it again when I finally buy Scarlet a month later.
That's exciting. I'm gonna be watching Scarlet and Violet playthrough. I saw the Twitch stream where the guy was going through the entire game, and the game looks like a lot of fun, but it'll be a whole different experience when I watch the Lazy Gaming guys go through it, whether it's through the live channel or on the podcast that you guys also that the audio is also up on for your channel. So that's exciting stuff, man. And you said you are going to choose Donald as your main?
Oh yeah. I'm choosing Donald because I haven't picked a water starter. In the beginning of a game since Gen 1.
Oh wow.
The first game. Yeah, I have not picked a water starter as my oh wait, no,
shit.
sorry.
Totodile, not even?
Gen 3. Sorry, Gen 3. No, Gen 2 I picked the same thing. Everybody picked Cyndaquil. I didn't pick a Totodile until the Gold and Silver remakes came out, and then even then I was playing both versions at the same time, and I played Gold first, and I still picked Cyndaquil first. Yeah. because that's the one thing about Gen 2 that everybody agrees on. Everybody picks Cyndaquil. Also because there's no real other good fire Pokemon for a long time in that game.
Good stuff, man. I know some brokettes have been trying to guess as to what Papa Kelly and I, whether it's a boy or a girl. Maceo was saying that he's not guessing on the gender, but he's instead thinking that it's going to be a redhead. That was his prediction. And I am happy to announce that it's going to be, some brokettes were right about this one, 1-1. So it's going to be a little girl that we now know. So we've got a little Leo and our little boy, and now we've got a little girl coming. So 1-1 on that end. And one friend I was talking to, he's like, well, this is good because even though, Kelly says this is the last one, if it had been another boy and then she had wanted a girl at some point later on, like years down the line, then she'd probably want to try for a third one. But now you've got one of each. That's it.
That's it. Don't let baby. Note to everybody out there. I'm not going to tell you how to live your lives, but it's always harder. It's always harder when you're outnumbered by your children.
Right. And that's another thing that her dad always says is don't let your children outnumber you. And that's why they only have 2 as well. Our plan is to also just have 2. And that's it's gonna involve, as I said on this podcast, like, and you were saying off mic, like chopping my balls off or whatever.
Oh dear! But yay, you're having a girl, and you didn't burn down half of Florida to show off that you're having a girl. Congratulations!
Yeah, my mind, I'm not well, Julian. My mind immediately went to, damn, I'm gonna have to go through the fucking dating shit, like as a dad.
I don't know. Maybe you should. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just, you don't own a shotgun, do you?
Well, I was just going to say, am I supposed to now go out, buy a shotgun, and then make sure I learn to clean it? That way, when that date comes over, right? Clean the shotgun while he's there or whatever.
No. Here's what you need to do. You need to get some batarangs. Learn how to start tossing them. And then when he comes to the door, show all the holes in the wall where the batarangs went through. And you sit there with a Batman mask on while he's there. Also, that way you embarrass her and threaten the boyfriend at the same time.
Yeah, and he'd be like, this guy's crazy. I better be careful.
And then, when he goes outside, suddenly he's like, wait a minute, how did these holes get in my tires? It's like, oh no, looks like you all need a ride to wherever you're going.
I'll be your chaperone.
Oh, the theater of my mind is a terrible place.
That's amazing. These are ideas, Julian.
Hey, it's just like that. It's like the time I texted you the other day. It's like, should I tell them that you're horrible? Should I tell them that you're a horrible person that beats children? Nah, I don't think that's a good idea.
With the what was it? The references. Yeah, I put you down as a job reference, and I'm like, and you were talking like, I'm gonna lie to them. I'm gonna say horrible shit about you.
I'm gonna say he's great, except for the thing where he eats people's faces. That wasn't the exact thing I said. I'm trying to see if I can find the exact thing I said, because I remember it being hilarious, and I told Scott, and I don't remember if I told Scott about it. I should have told Scott about that. I'm surprised I didn't. Oh yeah, that you pick your nose and wipe it on management when you don't like them. I mean, everybody should do that, because certain managers need to be knocked down a peg, and maybe a random booger on their nice suit would a random nice chonky booger would be on their suit would make them look bad.
Well, Julian, I really appreciate you being on for this episode, especially, and for putting up with some of my sadness this week and some of my excitement and frustrations as well.
Yeah.
I know that we've both got some busy lives and some transitions and changes happening right now, but I appreciate you taking this hour and a half to help make this show possible for the Brokehead Core out there. So I really do appreciate it, and I would love it if you would please let them know where they can find your channel and where they can find you.
All right, you can find the channel Lazy Gaming Guys on youtube.com/Lazy Gaming Guys. We stream every Wednesday and occasionally on random other days, depending on when certain things come out, mostly Nintendo related. And then we stream, there's 3 of us. We all stream different styles of games. I'm the more consistent one. But you can also find us on Twitter at Lazy Gaming, on at Lazy Gaming Guys on Twitter.com. We're still there, regardless if Elon Musk burns it to the ground or not. We have no other place to go to. Nope, right now. We're working on it. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Kage0, where I think currently right now my name is By King Julian. usually, most of the time it's going to be something King Julian, depending on what it is. Most likely next month it's going to be Christmas King Julian or something stupid like that.
Got to
Stupid
theme it up, yep.
Yeah, why not? That's my personal Twitter, where mostly I retweet random art things I find and memes and whatever game I'm into that's not Final Fantasy 14. And then you can also find the other leads. I also have, tend to try to follow whatever Scott posts, whatever he actually does. And you can see, and you'll end up finding his Twitter on there eventually one day. And that's pretty much it. I haven't started that OnlyFans yet. I don't think it's going to get off the ground.
Oh, it'll get off the ground. It's just a matter of you doing it.
I don't know. Someday, it's like, I don't think everybody's going to like it. It's going to be some days like, oh, look at my butt. And then another day it's just me sitting in front of the camera eating cereal. You can barely even see it go in my mouth. It's just like, it's just me shoveling it into my face like some kind of weird, gross Hobbit person.
There's a kink for that.
You know what? The sad thing is, I believe it.
Yeah, of course.
Believe it. I know that it exists. There's, some people get off on mukbangs, and they're, I'm not gonna judge their kinks, but I'm gonna judge their kink. They're weird.
Well, there's a link on everywhere you can find Julian and Lazy Gaming Guys in the description of today's episode. You can also find a link to our voicemail line, which is at speakpipe.com/thereasonsimbroke. There's a link again in the description and on our main website. But if you go to speakpipe.com/thereasonsimbroke, using your phone, you can leave us a voicemail of 90 seconds or less, whether it's a comment, a question, an answer to something that we may have asked on the show. And if you submit it, we may choose it, and you can be heard right here on the show next week. So thank you so much for joining us this week. I've been Daniel, joined by Julian, and Brocat Core, all will be well. So, Julian, we talked about Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean not happening. What's the other theme park attraction that's Disney's that you think they should adapt into a film?
Big Thunder Mountain.
Thunder Mountain.
They've already done Haunted Mansion with live actors and Muppets, and then I hear they're still trying to do another live action one. But it has to be, there has to be Big Thunder Mountain, because technically, if you want to do one about Big Thunder Mountain, you should do the one from Disneyland Paris, because the one in Disneyland Paris actually ties into their Haunted Mansion.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, what happens is that there's these pioneer settlers start digging for gold on this island, right? And then like one of the people who funded the expedition, like their family builds a mansion nearby, right? And so like the person who owns everything, they are told by the natives, like, hey, there's this burial ground. They're not burial ground here. There's like this. These are like the sacred. There's like sacred place of this thunder god bird, right? And so they just ignore it anyway. As Caucasian people of the time did, just ignore them. But unfortunately for the people who dug there, essentially it got hit it got hit by a storm or lightning or something, and like the whole mining operation collapsed, like just caved in. And so did like it got caved in by like an earthquake or something, because they were blasting stuff in a storm, and then suddenly lightning just and then this whole thing fell apart. And so the owner died, and while the owner died in that whole in the whole cave-in, right? And his daughter was supposed to be married off to some random other rich guy or something. But like, because he died, he resented the living, and he would essentially haunt his daughter and kill off all her suitors. And even the last husband, and she killed off her suitor, and she just sits in the and then she just sat in the mansion waiting for her husband to finally come home. And like the resentful father essentially would just keep haunting her, and he'd even bring in other ghosts from all over just to continue to haunt that mansion that she would just reside in. And then so like after a while, it's just like everybody just started ignoring this mansion and this old mansion. And then suddenly, like for the story of the ride, the mansion's open all of a sudden. There are people fucking walking around. They're like maids and servants walking around and shit. And when you go in, essentially you're like, you hear the story, you hear the story, and then you like go, and just like the normal ride, you go through some of this, you go through certain sections which are familiar, but like instead of like a haunted ghost bride thing, you just see the bride just sitting in front of a mirror while like everybody else is like fucking haunting the place and just being horrible. And then near the end, it's like, it's actually a lot more sinister of a ride than the Florida and the California ones, where it's like, oh, these ghosts are scary, but then, it's like, it's, at the end, it's like a spooky party. No, it's not a spooky party in the Paris version. It's a resentful evil man fucking haunting his daughter and fucking with her, and now she's also dead, and she's still waiting for the and it's like at the end of the ride she asks you if you'll marry her and stuff, and and it's like super creepy.
I gotta go on
But
this
it's like
ride,
you're gonna
man.
but it's like you want to make another Haunted Mansion movie, you got to make the Big Thunder Mountain movie first, and then it
Cross
leads
them
to
over.
that, and then it cross over. Or at least make the Haunted Mansion movie about that, and then you make the Big Thunder movie that has something to do with it.
The Big
Or you just
Thunder
make a big-
cinematic universe is what you just made.
Yeah, or you just make a Big Thunder movie that's a bunch of Wild West stunts. Please make it a bunch of real Wild West stunts and not a bunch of CG bullshit.
I sat with both of my parents on separate occasions as they passed. And the thing to remember is their spirit lives on. The body is just a vessel. And you really see that when someone passes. The people we love are always with us. Good luck.